Imagine a global courtroom where trade disputes are settled, rules are enforced, and countries actually play fair. Now imagine that courtroom is empty, the judge is missing, and the biggest players just walked out. Welcome to the WTO in 2025. To understand what's broken, let's rewind to why the WTO was built. After World War II, the world needed a way to avoid trade conflicts that could spiral into real ones. So, in 1947, 23 nations signed the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, or GATT. It slashed tariffs and built trust, but it didn't have teeth. Fast forward to 1995, the WTO is born. With 164 members and a home in Geneva, it becomes the world's trade referee, with binding rules, a court to settle disputes, and safeguards for developing economies. The WTO's rulebook rests on three big principles. 1. Most favored nation. Treat every WTO member equally in trade. 2. Tariff bindings. If you promise not to raise tariffs above a certain level, you stick to it. And 3. Dispute settlement. If you cheat, there's a court that calls you out. This system brought decades of booming trade and pulled millions out of poverty. Even China joined in 2001, signing up to follow the rules. But by the 2010s, the cracks began to show. The WTO failed to update its rulebook. The Doha round stuck. Digital trade missing, and climate rules absent. Countries started making their own deals. TPP, RCEP, USMCA, sidestepping the WTO. But the biggest blow came from a familiar face. In 2018, President Trump imposed tariffs on steel and aluminium using a US law called Section 232, claiming national security. The move hit not just rivals like China, but allies like Canada, the EU, and India. Countries sued at the WTO. Trump, he shrugged. Then Washington blocked the appointment of judges to the WTO's highest court, the appellate body, leaving it paralyzed. No judges, no rulings, no enforcement. Trade law suddenly toothless. Now it's 2025. Trump is back. So are the tariffs. He wants reciprocal tariffs, meaning if India charges 50%, so will the US. But here's the catch. The US legally bound its average tariffs at 3.4% under WTO rules. Exceed that and you're breaking the rules again. Trump says the WTO is unfair, claiming countries like India and China abuse the developing country tag. But under WTO rules, developing countries are given space to grow. That's the point. The WTO has no army, no fines, no police. It only works when countries respect the rules. But if the US ignores them, others retaliate. India hit back with tariffs on 28 US products. The EU struck too. The system risks becoming every country for itself. And it's not just Trump. China's state-led capitalism with subsidies, state-owned enterprises, and forced tech transfers has long tested WTO limits. And here's the kicker. The WTO doesn't cover modern flashpoints like data privacy, green subsidies, or digital trade. WTO reform, it needs consensus, but even one country can block it. Despite all this, most global trade still happens under WTO rules. MFN clauses still bind countries, tariff ceilings still matter. And for developing nations, it remains the only forum where they have equal footing. So no, it's not dead, but it's wounded, and the world seems in no hurry to heal it. The WTO was built to prevent chaos, to hold nations to common rules. But if the biggest players walk away, can global order survive? Or are we heading back to a world where trade is all power and no rules? So, has the WTO become obsolete? Tell us what you think in the comments.